Hello everyone, Gigabeef here, and today we're looking at using the lowest recoil of all of the 7.62 NATO weapons, which is the M1A. We'll be looking at this build in particular, some cool barters and budget versions too to get the most out of this gun. So diving straight into the M1A's lowest recoil configuration, there are 3 barters in total for this weapon, and using the SASS barter at mechanic 3 is the best way to get minimum recoil. This is because it already has the long barrel and the SASS chassis that are key to making it, which on their own cost 66,000 rubles together. The barter is very simple, requiring 18 Wilston cigarettes. These can either be bought straight from the fleet as well as crafted in the hideout using a T and a pack of Apollo SIGs. With T at 20k and the SIGs around 9, this comes at 5,800 per Wilston, which is usually cheaper than you'd find them on the flea market and works out at a smidgen over 100k. Then, to get to the lowest recoil, we just have to add the Mesa Tactical Buffer Tube, the PRS GEN3 stock, the RK2 foregrip, and the Knight's Armament QDC muzzle brake suppressor combo, and we're already at 38. For ergo specifically, we can upgrade the pistol grip to the skeletonized Style 2 PC, and we can also use the Chris front and rear iron sights to add 1 ergo each, resulting in 22 ergonomics and 38 recoil before adding any mags, optics or devices. The barter makes this low recoil build one of the easiest to put together, however some of the parts are not that straightforward to get a hold of. First off, this pistol grip is find in raid only, and when I looked earlier there were none listed for sale at all, even for barters. For 1 less ergo, the regular Style 2 can be bought from Skier 4. Then, as usual, the Mesa buffer tube is quest locked and generally very expensive. Given we likely have enough recoil reduction anyway, the advanced tube from mechanic 4 is more beneficial for ergo, and if you remember back to our barter, we actually get the tan MOE carbine stock thrown in too. All we have to do then is slap on a recoil pad, and this gets us to 33 ergo and 44 recoil. For a meta version, the only other thing that I would change is the RK2. It's not worth losing that much ergo to get 44 recoil on a semi-auto weapon in my opinion, and swapping this out for the Stark SE5 gets you to 49 ergo and 50 recoil whilst suppressed, which is pretty nasty. As we got a few of these parts along with the base weapon with the barter, this only costs just over 130k, so around 230k total. Yeah, expensive, sure, but this is one of the best weapons in the whole game, so it does justify the price. Using the RVG grip instead and the AR-15 Magpul pistol grip saves around 20,000 at 110k of mods instead, and is only 3 ergo lower at 46, but it bears remembering that the suppressor combo is 75,000 of the attachment's price for this build. Swapping over to the best loud build, the BMD 3-part combo decreases the mods cost to 78k and brings the whole weapon under 200,000 total if that's what you're looking for, and gets to 64 ergo and 53 recoil instead. This is also a beastly weapon, you just have to play around the fact that you don't have a suppressor anymore. One of the issues with 7.62 NATO weapons in general is that the suppressors are pretty much expensive across the board. Because the M1A doesn't fit the SRD, the only other suggestion that I have to look out for is cheap Tagilla boss caps and leather caps on the flea market to do the Thunderbeast barter. Because otherwise, most of the time you may as well just get the Knight's best in slot suppressor combo, because you hardly get a discount for going for something else. Now, switching this build around and looking at the budget end of the weapon, the most basic barter that we can use is the 10 USBs. Sometimes this works out and sometimes it doesn't, so you just have to check on the flea at the time. If you can get the USBs under 5k each, then that's usually decent. Otherwise, just get the actual weapon off the flea. There are plenty at 100% durability because lots of these come from weapons boxes. In terms of actual budget builds, I find the M1A incredibly awkward. First off, using the standard barrel that it comes with is not so easy, as the threaded muzzle brake that you need to attach anything to it is at mechanic 4. You can get it on the flea, but it's anyone's guess as to what the price will be or if it's even available, so for a budget build it's not very consistent. The easier way is to use the longer 22-inch barrel, which is threaded, however this is still at mechanic 3. This costs 16.5k overall if you sell back the original barrel after changing them over, but it doesn't give us a way to do this at anything lower than level 30. The basic M1A comes with the SOCOM 16 upper, so you can stick a hollow or some other dot at the front without having an actual mount. To get a bit more flexibility and a sight closer to your PMC's eyes, the M14 arms mount is available from Mechanic 2, which supports some longer range scopes like the Valde and the Alcan, but no rings other than the 25mm UTG. At Mechanic 3, you can get the M14 Leapers, which is a little bit longer, so allows for the 30 and 34mm rings as well, although to be honest, if you aren't going to be doing any more modding, I'd probably just stick to the RFB at this stage instead. If you do have max traders and you're dead set on using the M1A, the threaded gas block from Mechanic 4 plus the Atlas comes to about 85k total, giving 33 ergo and 127 recoil. This can be upgraded for another 28k at Mechanic 3 to the Archangel stock, which gives more recoil reduction and better ergonomics for 115,000 total instead. The thread for the short barrel gives very few options on suppressors, with only the Gemtech 1 and the Hybrid 46, which are both very low on recoil buffs as far as suppressors go. I'd still go for the RFB if you want a budget suppressed 7.62 gun, as the M1A's strong point is the recoil reduction, whereas the RFB's is decent starting ergonomics. The budget suppressors are better and cheaper overall on the RFB anyway, because it's hard to improve the recoil much due to the bullpup configuration. There is one more M1A build, which is the EBR version. The barter doesn't normally make sense as it's 20 blue tapes, and typically these are at least 8k. Buying the parts from the traders, which is the chassis, the stock and the pistol grip, are all Mechanic 3, and it comes out very slightly better than the Archangel base version for about the same price, with 55 ergonomics and 115 recoil with the Atlas compensator. Another problem with using the M1A early is the magazines, as the basic 20 round version is about 4,000 rubles from Peacekeeper 3, and although he is one of the earliest traders, so it is technically possible to get to him at level 23, that's quite late on to be buying magazines for a budget weapon. The 30 rounders are only available at Peacekeeper 4 and around 8,000 rubles each. However, for late game builds, this is one of the standout features of the M1A. Only a small handful of weapons with this caliber can use the higher capacity magazines, the others being the SA58 and the RFB, which I've mentioned a minute ago. The 30s here drop ergo by 6 versus the 20s 3, and so if with 3 ergo swing, it's almost always worth taking the 30 rounders. Not only that, but you can use a 50 round drum with the M1A too. This is a Mechanic 4 barter for a Geiger counter, so it's a bit expensive but not terrible. However, this drops ergo by 17, so another 11 versus the 30s, and with semi-auto the only available fire mode on the M1A, I think it's a bit overkill for the ergo problems that you end up with, especially if you're going suppressed. In fact, this is one of the fringe issues with the M1A. You need a bit more ergo than you think, because both ergo and weight contribute towards the weapon's ergonomics related features, most specifically ADS speed, and the M1A is a hefty beast. Comparing to the most direct equivalent, which is the SR25, these two weapons are favoured by late game players. Building them to a similar spec with the same ergo, we can see that the SR25 is quite a bit lighter than the M1A. Unloaded, this SR is at 4.9 kilograms versus the M1A's 6.7, and the SR has a slightly higher ergo just by its very nature, so we had to use the basic pistol grip to even these two out. Otherwise, we've got roughly identical builds with the same suppressor, foregrip and optic setup, and the recoil difference ends up being 64 for the SR25 versus 50 for the M1A. The M1A is indisputably the king for minimum recoil, but at this level both are good, and with semi-auto only it matters a little bit less for these guns. The interesting part here is that even though the M1A's ergo is actually alright, the weight of the weapon makes it swing into its ADS animation. This happens with other heavy weapons as well, like the SVD, but the SR manages to sneak in under this threshold with weight, which allows for easier acquisition than targets with scopes because the reticle sways around less on ADS. As for the actual animation itself, the ADS speed of the M1A is slightly slower too by a few frames at the same ergonomics. Even this test is a little unfair because, as I said, the SR can get better ergo naturally without even using the best in-slot pistol grips, so in reality this difference would be slightly more favoured towards the SR for a practical build. Ultimately, it comes down to which way you want to make the compromise. With the SR you get better handling and ergonomics, and with the M1A you get better recoil at a similar price point. The fact that the M1A base weapon is purchased through a barter can be more compelling sometimes because the SR can be very expensive, especially on traders, so you're at the whim of the flea, which has only been going up and up and up towards the Tarkov late game, whereas with the craft and flea market for the Wilstons, the M1A price is a bit more stable. Plus, you know that it'll always be 100% durability as it's from a trader. They see me. So the second guy ran back. That hatch thing I just one-shot him with M16. I need some more arm stamina. Whoa. Wow. Scavs actually be cracked, yo. Unless he was firing at someone else and not me. One up here? I'm confused by this. This raid is weird. I don't understand what's happening. There could still be somebody over there. That could be someone else. Whoa. What's all this fighting? I mean, that's up inside there, fine. What about these guys? Oh. Okay, that's someone going into the... He's going underground. I'm pretty sure. Because why else would he go over this way? Around here, I think. Gosh darn it. I have a black thorax. That ain't good. Why the 30s are crucial? Yeah. Could just go to like hole in fence. Immediate exit, yeah. Did we just get rid of the bag? Oh my god, yeah. I take like any point of damage, any splash damage, and I die. He's got a CPC though. I guess I can just forward it for my own. Still a massive gunfight going on in there. It's very bizarre. I can forward this for my own rig. So what have I got? Yeah, I've got like a busted gazelle. You know what, honestly, I should just wear it now. Okay. There we go. Let's do that. Perfect. Oh, hello, thermite. Nuts. Look at that. So as usual, a big shout out to all my patrons who support the channel. We have early access to videos, resources, and other goodies over there, so do take a look in the links below. Otherwise, hit all the buttons if you enjoyed the video, and as always, have fun in your raids.